I look like a crazy person right now. I just got back from the gym because I needed to blow off some steam. Fair warning, I'm about to start screaming and spitting. This is probably the most emotion you will ever see from me. I'm about to get animated like a Pixar character, red in the face with steam coming out of my ears, because I am infuriated. I am livid. I've made a couple videos bringing you up to speed on a situation I've been dealing with US immigration. In a nutshell, our esports team, Moist Esports, has one of the best Apex rosters in the world right now. We're second place in NA, and we're in a really good position to win the major. But the major is happening on US soil, and the red-blooded patriots at US immigration refuse to let our team come in. Our team is Australian. So we were initially declined and had to pivot, get them to Canada so they could compete in NA this split. And we resubmitted, and our resubmission has just been declined again for legitimately no real reason, because the fucking glue-eating, crack-smoking, coke-snorting, lobotomite morons at US immigration just don't want them in the country for whatever reason they're drumming up here. We have been working with the best lawyers in the industry, the best lawyers on this fucking planet that specialize in this field, and none of them can believe that we've been declined again. They've never had these issues before, so they're as stunned as we are. We even have one of the highest level executives at EA going to bat for us with US immigration, lobbying for us to try and get our team in here because our team is very important to the esport because we are so highly ranked. And even with the goddamn Avengers on our side, US immigration slams the door in our face and turns us away like it's a lacrosse house party in college. They're Australian gamers. We're not trying to sneak in fucking Viltrumite aliens. What is the issue? Gadzooks, I would hate to meet our US immigration agent in real life. It'd be like meeting Voldemort. It'd be like meeting Scrooge. Like an absolute joyless fucking husk of a zombie. It can't even be a real soul. There's no way there's a human being that's handling our case. It's not possible. Because there is no reason we would keep being declined. They're not even giving us reasons that make any sense at all. Not to us, not to the lawyers, not to anybody. Nobody. And no other esports team has had this problem. Every other org that has international players got in lickety-split. They fucking speed ran it. Meanwhile, we can't. We literally can't. I'm convinced that if Jesus Christ resurrected right now, US immigration would turn him away. He wouldn't be allowed in here. We'd never see him. Now let me slow down real quick, because maybe you guys aren't understanding why this is such a big deal. Our team is one of the best in the world. And this major is huge. It's massive. And obviously, we're very passionate about this game and this esport. So they need to get into the country to play in this major, because it's an in-person LAN. They can't compete from Canada. It's happening in America, the home of the fucking cheeseburger and the Budweiser. It's happening here. So they need to be here physically to compete in it. No holograms, no force ghosts, no AI, duplicate, replicants, nothing. It's gotta be them, flesh and blood, which is off the table now. I think a lot of people had a bit of confusion with the last video I made about this, because the Apex boys, our team, has been in America before. We've even made videos together with them at our warehouse. But there's a difference, because they were only here for like 2 weeks. I think it was even less than 2 weeks. And then the major was overseas. So they weren't here for a long time. This time around, we needed a different process because they were going to play the whole split in NA. So it needed to go through an entirely different procedure to allow them to stay here for that period. And since we keep getting declined, they are now no longer allowed to just come here temporarily. All of that's halted because they're under our Moist Esports blanket. Now they can't come here just for like that 2 weeks or anything. It's totally different. It's all changed, which is why we had to work with so many lawyers to try and get this process moving, and we just kept getting declined. So now they can't come into the country for this major. They couldn't even show up on the day to compete. Plus, they wouldn't want to do that anyway because they want time to practice, obviously. So that leaves us with only one fucking option left, and that's to cut our team. We have to release one of the best teams in the entire Apex circuit, because that's the only way they're going to be allowed in the country. They can come here as long as they're not being represented by us. As long as they are not represented by any org right now, they can come here and compete. So that's our only option, because we obviously want the best for these guys. We want them to shine at the major. So in order to do that, we have to let them go. It's like that fucking scene in Pokemon when Ash sets down the Pikachu and runs away crying. That's us. That is literally what we have to do with our team right now. We have to cut them so that way they can compete at the major. Because we're out of time. We can't resubmit again because this process is abominably fucking slow. weeks just to get 2 sentences back from the U.S. immigration dinosaurs, the fucking fossils that are just bones and dust in those chairs at the agency there. Like, we can't do this again because we don't have time. The major's right around the corner. So, we are officially releasing the Moist Apex Squad. Unfortunately, we got the bad ending to this fucking playthrough here. And it's no fault of our own, by the way. We did everything by the books. We worked with other orgs, too, and so many different lawyers that specialize in this. And we did everything right. And still got slapped by U.S. immigration raid bosses. Ridiculous. So, I actually cooked up a theory. One that a couple of lawyers actually agreed with me on as the most likely culprit for why we kept getting declined and are still currently rejected. Our name. I hypothesized this in the last video I made, but I wasn't entirely subscribing to that belief until now. The name Moist Esports may have had a role in us being rejected. May be the only reason we were rejected. At U.S. immigration, it all falls onto your particular agent. It is entirely their discretion whether or not you are allowed entry into the country with whatever you're submitting and whatever you're doing. You have an individual agent that handles your case. It is highly possible, and according to some lawyers, not unusual, for them to decline things based on very trivial reasoning. And they never conveyed that the name was an issue to us, by the way. That would be something that's so petty that they probably would never put it in writing because it's fucking embarrassing and shameful. But it is possible that the name Moist is the reason why. Because moist is a word that is a little yucky to people, makes them feel a little icky. So whoever was handling our case maybe just really didn't like that word, didn't take us seriously, and said, nope, we won't be dealing with them. Fuck them. And I think that's the most likely possible explanation for this at the moment. Because there's nothing else. There is actually nothing else that could have possibly gone awry in this process on our end. I hope the ghoulish heathen in charge of our case is proud of themselves for this. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just yanking your chain. The only thing I hope for the urinal cake that handled this case is that they get fired. That is the only solace I will find here, is if I learn that at some point whoever took this case is let go from U.S. immigration because the country would be much better for it. I think they are so bad at their job that it borders on being criminal. Like, they should be charged with treason for how poorly they've handled this case. 6 months. 6 months of work. Well, a little less than 6 months. And never once did they give us a real reason for why we were declined. The reasons they gave us were nonsensical. And when we were inquired for more information to rectify those problems, we submitted above and beyond the requirements. And still got declined numerous times. I think this whole experience should be pretty eye-opening to a lot of people out there. To the blatant corruption in U.S. immigration. Like, this is so bad that it's almost comical. Like, if it wasn't so incredibly detrimental to our organization, I would probably find it laughable. Like, that's how awful, horrible it is, and how bad of a state U.S. immigration is in. Like, just take a step back and really analyze this. The best lawyers in the world that specialize in this field in particular were unsuccessful in getting squeaky clean Australian gamers into the country, even when the game they're competing in has the highest level executives saying to U.S. immigration, no, they need to be here, they should be here. All of these extremely powerful parts working together to try and get them into the country, and they couldn't do it multiple times. Now imagine that for someone normal. Just normal, average Joes trying to get into the country and they have to deal with U.S. immigration. What fucking hope is there? What chance do you have? That's going to be like a 20-year process bare minimum. That's inexcusably awful. What a broken fucking machine. The ice cream machines at McDonald's work better than the U.S. immigration process. It's so fucking stupid. I'm actually hitting a full-blown Porky Pig Scatman right now. I'm getting so heated. Like, it's an insult to the word stupid. Moonfall, Madam Web, The Room, that's stupid. This, it's on a whole new level. It's in a different dimension, the fucking 6th dimension of stupidity. It's a whole new ballgame. Like the fucking poop farter that handled our case. It's giving me a headache. I'm actually going caveman braid. I'm becoming Cro-Magnon man right now. Just called him a fart pooper or whatever. Like, it's just, I'm running out of words in the English language to express the frustration at how incompetent this whole process has been on their end. So yeah, anyway, we had to release our Apex team. They will still be competing at the major, God willing, unless the immigration agent himself turns up and fucking puts the kibosh on it himself, forms like a brick wall of meat and won't let them pass, physically imposing himself on them. But anything shy of that, the boys will be on American soil competing at the major, but they are no longer our team. We had to cut them in order for that to happen. We will, of course, still be cheering for them. We, of course, still want them to win because they deserve it. I think they are the best team in Apex, and I'm still very excited to watch them play, but it really fucking hurts that it's not Moist Esports that they're competing under anymore. Thanks, U.S. immigration. Fuck you. Yep, that's really about it. See ya. I have had it up to here with U.S. immigration. I want there to be no confusion. I think the U.S. immigration process is a laughable, pathetic joke. In fact, it's not laughable because I'm not giggling. You don't see me spitting up with a smile on my face, kicking my feet in my high chair. It is terrible. Pardon my French, but it is poop. It is so unbelievably horrible. In particular, I am angry at one individual. Just one specific individual. The U.S. immigration agent that's handling our case. But this individual is infamous in the esports scene for declining teams and people for the most ridiculously stupid reasons imaginable. A month ago, I made a video kind of going over the basics of what I'm going to be diving into deeper today. In a nutshell, our esports team, Moist Esports, has an Apex roster, and we're one of the best in the world. We are currently ranked 4th in A, with still another whole series to play. We're still a whole series behind the people around us, and we're still top 4. We're a fucking outrageous squad of maniacs out there. Some of the best talent Apex has ever seen. Our team came from Australia. Our plan for the season was to bring them to NA, where the competition is more fierce. NA is a powerhouse in Apex. So we brought them over to NA, and then at the very last second got rejected by US immigration, and they were declined entry into this country. So we had the last second pivot, change all of our plans, and get them to Canada so they could still play this split. So they're currently in Canada, and we've been actively trying to get them to the US. And I cannot overstate how much of a nuisance it was to get that rejection when we did, because it came at the very end of an extremely long, drawn-out, tedious process where just out of nowhere they decided to flip the switch saying, nope, actually, they're not welcome here, declined. And there's nothing we could have done to rectify it or change it. They just decided they didn't like us anymore, so they declined it fundamentally with no real reason. And since this is such a slow process, I swear to God, it might be one of the slowest things on the planet. US immigration moves slower than Robert De Niro in The Irishman. It is fucking disgraceful how awful the optimization is for this process. So all we could do was get them to Canada so they could still play this split here in NA like we had planned on. And while they're doing that, we're still trying to get them to the US. Now, initially, we didn't really understand why they were declined. All we knew is this sometimes happens in the esports scene. My little tinfoil hat theory was that the agent was afraid of Waltzy. Waltzy is one of our players, one of the best in the world, and he also happens to be a powerlifter. So perhaps they were just worried that he'd pose a national security risk for being too strong, that he'd go around snapping Americans in half. All we could do was really speculate and resubmit, which we did. And now we've received a response from the resubmission forms, and after going through everything with lawyers and making sure it is as buttoned up as possible with all of the best in the industry, I am happy to say we are still fucking struggling because the agent is a geriatric fossil that is absolutely just out for some kind of vendetta. I think they might just hate the word moist. That's probably a very real possibility. But they have asked us to submit even more evidence and even more clarification on things, which ordinarily I would have no problem with. But we've already done this once. We did this song and dance last time, only to get rejected many weeks after doing that. This isn't a fast process. If it was fast, I wouldn't care. Be like, oh, okay, you need more papers, more documents, more clarification. Fine, we can provide all of that tomorrow. And hopefully hear from you in the next day or two. That's not how it works, because after we do submit all of those, further appeals for evidence, it takes weeks, multiple weeks, for them to respond, and they barely fucking look at what you submit, I feel. In the last video, I mentioned that our agent didn't believe us that we were placing so high, and they didn't bother to look into it at all. Well, that is another thing that is a fucking problem, because they still don't believe our placements. Our team crushes it at the majors, and we were number 12 at the World Championship, and one of the things they need clarification on is why they should believe us that those placements are real or important. You rat bastard, what do you mean? We are submitting the official standings, the official placements for these majors and the World Championship. What do you mean you don't trust that? What? Actually, I wasn't there, so I didn't see it. I can't. This must be a fucking lie. Fly yourself out to the next fucking major and watch us then. Like, what do you mean? It's crazy how they can just pull that out of their ass. Like, oh, why should we believe the official standings? Ridiculous. You thought you could pull a fast one on U.S. immigration? No, sir. It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. But that's not the one I want to get hung up on. I'm actually going to just read this to you verbatim. I'm not going to show you it because that might be a legal issue. But I absolutely just have to put this out here. I feel like I'm in the loony dimension reading this shit. I am convinced that there's not a human being on the other side of this conversation. I believe that our lawyers have been contacted and communicating with Cleverbot, who is for some reason representing the U.S. Immigration Services. It is so outrageously dumb. So you're going to need a little context behind this before getting into it. So when bringing the team to the land of the free, home of the brave, we were instructed to have a high-ranking EA official kind of glaze us to help convey to the U.S. Immigration Services that our team is internationally significant to this scene. Now, when it comes to getting teams over here, this is what every esports org has to do. They have to convince the immigration services that their team is highly competitive, a top team that is worthy to come over here and start bleeding cheeseburgers like a true red-blooded American. So that's what we're doing, and we had a high-ranking EA individual kind of talking on our behalf. And again, this is something that the U.S. Immigration Services, wanted. They didn't fucking believe that he's actually a real official. So let me read this to you. Written statement from an official of the sports governing body, which is who we were talking to. You may submit evidence from an official of the sports governing body describing how the athlete or team is internationally recognized. The evidence you submitted is insufficient. You submitted a testimonial from, redacted, I'm not going to drop their name, about the beneficiaries, redacted, is a senior manager at Electronic Arts, EA. But USCIS cannot determine that his position is considered an official of a governing body in esports. Additionally, he mentioned that the beneficiaries have had high placements in several competitions in the ALGS Year 3 season. However, USCIS cannot determine how the placements constitute as international reputation. As previously discussed, ALGS does not appear to require athletes or teams with international reputation to participate in the competitions. As such, there's insufficient evidence to demonstrate that having such placements in ALGS competitions equate to international reputation. You may still submit evidence to satisfy this criterion. I'm going to have a conniption. Excuse me. Still playing with cash registers, huh, Squiddy? What kind of place is this? You wanted us to prove that our placements were real, and we had a high-ranking EA, who, of course, they own Apex, represents that side, talk on our behalf to confirm that the placements are real. But you don't believe that that official, whom you even cite their position in this statement, actually represents them? Is actually part of the official governing body of the esport? How can you not believe them? You even cite their position in your statement, a position that constitutes the esports side. What do you mean? And then you say that the placements don't necessarily mean international reputation? What the fuck does then? How could any team possibly get into the country through this game if even the highest placements don't constitute international reputation to satisfy your criterion? It doesn't make any fucking sense. The agent here is well known in the esports scene because we've talked to numerous other orgs. And all of them have had to deal with this person, and all of them have horror stories about them. So much so that the majority of them have found ways to circumvent ever having to deal with them and going through other people. That is how bad at their job this person is. A job that is extremely important and carries a lot of weight for so many people, and this absolute brain-dead goober can't be bothered to do the bare minimum of just activating a few neurons up here to even process what the fuck they're saying. Or what they're asking for. And when we submit the evidence that satisfies sufficiently what they want, they still are not accepting it for inexplicable reasons. That is not a reason what they've given there. How can you not believe that one of the highest ranking officials at EA for this area is not trustworthy or insufficient or doesn't represent the governing body? That is mind-bogglingly silly. It has to be malicious. It has to be malicious. No one can be this stupid on accident and have this job. Again, this is a job that is extremely important. And you have someone this incompetent there? I don't believe it. This has to be on purpose. Not only have we been working with lawyers who specialize in this area, but we have been working with other orgs who have successfully gone through this process, albeit it seems they've done it with other individuals. Not this fucking womp from Super Mario 64 that we've unfortunately been cursed with over there at the US Immigration Office. This is craziness. How one person can just say, I just don't really feel like bothering to look into this at all, so I'm just going to say you're lying. I'll ask for more evidence and then not read it, and fuck you. That's absolute insanity. Even when we fulfill it to a T and bring in an extremely high-ranking EA official to speak on our behalf to our achievements in the scene, they still won't even accept that. What else can we do? Like, what else is there to do besides just somehow get a different agent, resubmit again, and pray, fingers crossed, we don't encounter this scourge? It's just ridiculous. I had to rant about this again after I was shown why we've been requested further information for the fucking, like, third time now, after being rejected. Like, it's... Oh my lord. What in tarnation? I cannot believe how awful this process is. Truly awful. And nonsensical. So yeah, I just had to rant about this. Again, there's your little Moist Esports update for our Apex team. Our Apex team is fucking crushing it. Gonna be watch partying their next game this Saturday. Hopefully more big dubs on the way. Our team is absolutely going fucking ballistic, so I love to see that. It's always a lot of fun. Feel free to stop into the streams. And hopefully pretty soon, you know, they can eventually come to the United States, like we had planned on many months ago. So, yeah, that's really about it. So, yeah. Good morning, butterflies. It's me, your fairy godfather, Charles. And I'm here to grant you a special wish. And that wish I know you just made was for knowledge. So I will go ahead and pollinate you with my sweet nectar of knowledge. The situation I covered a couple days ago with the individual who was driving with a suspended license on a Zoom court hearing about his suspended license actually has some huge twists and turns here that not even the Game of Thrones showrunners could have figured out to subvert our expectations. The whole galaxy, but especially the Michigan Secretary of State's office, owe this man a huge, sincere apology. Addressing the elephant in my ass, yes, I am still not home. I am still in front of this SpongeBob title card of a background behind me, but it's very funky and I appreciate that. I'm still on the run. I publicly said My Hero Academia fell off and I haven't been safe since. So, anyway, for those of you that are unfamiliar with this whole case, I'll drop the lore for you. An individual named Corey Harris went viral for this Zoom court hearing where this happened.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
Wait. Okay. So maybe I don't understand something. This is a driver while license suspended,
That is correct, Your Honor.
and he was just driving, and he didn't have a license.
An iconic moment in legal history that will no doubt be studied by the best and brightest minds in the field for eons to come. A perplexing case. Now, all of humanity was clowning on this. I made a video talking about this briefly and then going over some other really classic Zoom court moments. Because it's just so silly. Like, to go to the Zoom court hearing while driving with a suspended license, it's kind of a fucking power move, actually. Like, that's a statement right there. The only thing that could have made that any better is if he was puffing on a cigar while drifting around. I've really got this as like a cheesy action movie in my head right now where he's the main character. And then he like gets out of the car and he pushes away on a skateboard and hits a kickflip or something on the way out and tells the judge to pipe down. He's got more important things to take care of. But it turns out, like a transformer, there was more than meets the eye here. So while he may have been driving with a suspended license on paper, it turns out that wasn't the reality of the situation. It was actually a clerical error. It is true that his license was suspended in 2010, however, it was rescinded in 2022. So what happened is, due to this error in the internal combustion engine that is our beyond dog shit legal process, that information never made it through the proper channels. So he should have been totally green light to drive. You can take the license away from the man, but you can't take the man away from the license. It's the same thing. I just said the same thing in a different way. That's definitely not how that's supposed to work, like the expression. Point is, it's not like when they took away his license, it was like the Space Jam basketball taking away his like ability to drive. He still had the capability of driving, just not the legal authority to do so. But in 2022, he did get that granted back to him, or at least he should have. But apparently the soulless husks at the Michigan Secretary of State's office never received the clearance from the Saginaw Friend of the Court. I hate that title, by the way, Friend of the Court. That shit sounds so childish. Makes me feel like I'm reading a Dr. Seuss book. Yes, this is the Michigan Secretary of State's office requesting thumbs up from the Blorbus County Super Buddies. Looking for big pats on the head, please, nuzzles you. I don't know, I hate that. Just friend of the court sounds so stupid for like an actual legal thing. So because the Michigan Secretary of State's office never got that clearance, the lifting of the suspension never went into effect, so the judge was working off the paperwork that was incorrect, stating that his license was still suspended when, in reality, it was not. They tracked down the clerical error and it has been rectified. However, Harris did spend 2 days in jail. And he made this statement saying, "With the type of ties that I have with the church and the community, it's very embarrassing." Which I completely understand, and this whole thing is turbo dog shit. It's more than just like blushing of the cheeks, like embarrassing, you know, it's not like his voice cracked while asking someone on a date or something. Like, this is pretty serious. It's unjust what happened to him. Please ignore the Ford ad. They break up every 3 sentences in this article with an ad. I've now sworn that I will never buy a single product that advertises on any mainstream news outlet because of these intrusive fucking abominable ads. But this is the explanation. So the deputy legal director for the Michigan Secretary of State told the station that the process to get a driver's license reinstated can be a complicated process. Sometimes it's as simple as, we at the Secretary of State's office did not get a clearance from the court that everything was done, but something happened in the wires and we needed to talk to the court to get the clearance and clean it up for the resident. Which they didn't do until he had already been in jail for 2 days. So, like, he still suffered from this and I think he should be compensated for that. He didn't do anything wrong. But he had no way of knowing that or knowing how to properly correct this. In an interview that he gave after the dust had settled with all of this hoopla, he did mention that his license was supposed to be fixed 2 years ago, but it just didn't. So he was aware that there was something definitely awry here, something was wrong, but he didn't really know what to do about that. So he still ended up, turning himself in and all of that. And then in the interview, he did mention at the end, always double check the workers because they say they're going to do something and they just don't. He's 100% right about that. When you deal with anyone in any kind of government position, it seems like they view it as a shameful thing to do their job. Like, they seem to want to do everything but what they're supposed to, which really hurts just normal, average people. And also, no one watching what happened had any way of knowing that either. Since this story came out with this update here, people have been mad at me saying, like, "Oh, how could you have fucking slandered this man? You should have really looked into this a little bit deeper so you would have known he was innocent from the start." Brother, look around. What the fuck are you talking about? How would I have gotten that information unless I was fucking auditing them? Like the goddamn, what was it, the Saginaw Friend of the Court? Like the Michigan Secretary of State's office? What am I supposed to do? Like march on over, kick the doors in and say, "Everyone, hands up. I'm going to need to see all your paperwork here. I saw this silly clip online and I need to verify the authenticity of the driving without a license charges. Give me everything you've got. I got a fucking warrant here for all of it. So, come on." Like, there's not an amount of research anyone could have done to find that information. They had to track down the clerical error on their side. There is nothing some fucking bumbling reptile brain idiot like me could possibly do to get that information, because it is not available unless you literally work there and investigated it. I do think some of the records with the suspension and then like the rescinding of it are publicly accessible documents you can have access to, but it's still not something that you as just like the average dick in hand Joe Schmo can do to connect the dots on why those wouldn't match up, like why this paperwork didn't make it through the whole process, what the hang up was. Like, that's not something that you can track from the outside, I don't believe. So I'm definitely sorry, and I'm super sorry that this happened to him in the first place, because again, he did nothing wrong. He was completely blameless for the driving with a suspended license charges here. Like, the biggest apology of all should come from those authorities there, but there's not going to be any repercussions there. They're just going to throw their hands up and go, whoops, clerical error. Gee whiz, sorry, bud. And that'll be the extent of that. They'll just wash their hands of it and be done with it, close the book, and nothing more will come from it. And it's a real fucking shame. They never face any real repercussions for fucking people in the face like this, and it sucks. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe something comes from this. Maybe there's some kind of internal change where this kind of thing won't happen as often in the future. Doubtful, but who knows. Anyway, though, I feel terrible for Mr. Harrison. What he went through here, he did not deserve it at all. That's about it. See ya. I just read something so ridiculous that I've been sitting here for the last like 10 or 15 minutes just stewing in my own filthy anger, almost in like this meditative state, just trying to process the absurdity of it. And this is a situation I'm not even involved in, and yet still it has managed to steam my vegetables, just because of how outrageous it is. This whole thing is so crazy, I just couldn't help myself but share it with all of you, so I hope you don't mind if I hit the dance floor real quick and bust it wide open for you here. So 2 months ago, some of you may have seen that Afro Man posted this music video, "Will You Help Me Repair My Door?" This went viral on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube as well. And basically it's Afro Man making a song out of a raid that was conducted on his property based on narcotics and kidnapping claims. And it turns out it was completely bogus. They got nothing out of it, and they kind of ransacked this whole place, and he had cameras set up around his property that recorded all of it, so he made a music video kind of teasing them about it. He made a catchy little jingle about the whole thing, and the title is about, you know, them breaking his door and breaking his gate and just going over the damage that they caused there while looking really silly. And now he is being sued for it. He is being sued because the officers were offended, their feelings got hurt, and they're claiming emotional distress. He clowned on them, and it hurt their goddamn feelings so much that now they're coming after him legally. It wasn't enough to just destroy his property and pillage his home like they were Vikings, and also traumatize his kids apparently, which is something he mentions in his song. Now they want to slap him even more by issuing this lawsuit to him, which I think is just an absolute load of baloney. What a pile of dirty barnacles. 4 deputies, 2 sergeants, and a detective with the Adams County Sheriff's Office brought the suit earlier this month, claiming an invasion of privacy. Let me just stop you right there, Chief. An invasion of privacy, huh? You are on his private property. He has every right to record you. I'm not a lawyer, but would you also make this claim if you made yourself look fucking silly at a Starbucks who has security camera footage of you in their store? Like, let's say you spilt coffee or you were pouring coffee down your lieutenant's butthole, giving him an enema in public, and they're like, oh, this is kind of embarrassing. We're going to sue you for an invasion of privacy because you filmed us. Would the argument work there in that place of business? I imagine private residents also still have the right to record you when you are on their property. They don't need your consent. You entered their domain. You stepped into their neck of the woods. I feel like they have the right to record you. But again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a stupid paint-huffing idiot when it comes to the law. But I still just find the claim comical. An invasion of privacy. I guess them going through all of his shit, throwing his suits all over the place, breaking down his doors and all of that in his own home. I guess that's not an invasion of privacy. That's just a general wrongful invasion, considering this whole thing was completely bogus. It was a completely botched little raid here. They're claiming that Afro Man used their faces from the raid and used it in music videos and social media posts without their consent. Again, I don't think he needed that, considering they're on his private property in the first place. But regardless, they go on saying it's caused them emotional distress, embarrassment, ridicule, loss of reputation, and humiliation. So these officers were born with glass bones and paper skin, huh? They can't take a few jokes on the internet. I imagine they're lying about this. I can't imagine they actually suffered any real emotional distress or anything. I don't think people were on the streets shooting spitballs at them as they walked by, pointing and laughing. Though they should, because they're fucking clowns for what they did here. I can't show the music video, but I highly recommend watching it. They look so fucking stupid in this thing. And it's all dog shit. Like, none of it was real to begin with here. It was just a completely failed raid from top to bottom. And they even had the audacity to disconnect his cameras when they noticed that the security cameras were on. It's just foul. Completely foul. I do hope they feel silly. But apparently, the silliness doesn't stop there. Maybe it's a humiliation fetish, because now they're suing him and making themselves look even stupider, which is crazy. I'll go ahead and boil all this down for you. The plaintiffs are seeking all of Afroman's profits from the use of their personas. That includes the proceeds from songs, music videos, and live event tickets, as well as any of the money that he made using their likeness and his brand and other merchandise. And they're also looking for an injunction to take down the videos. Afroman made like an entire album's worth of songs around this raid on his property, and they all fucking bang. It is so amazing. Afroman absolutely crushed it with this whole thing. Literally turned into like a money-making merchandise music video, like empire, all off of this failed raid from them. And now they're coming to put their hand in his cookie jar and take all of that money away that he made from this whole situation. Afroman is attempting to countersue them for the undeniable damage this had on my client's family, career, and property. Law enforcement officers were acting on a warrant that stated probable cause existed that drugs and drug paraphernalia would be found on his property and that trafficking and kidnapping had taken place there. But it turns out that boogeyman was completely wrong. All of those suspicions turned out to be unfounded, and the raid failed to turn up any real criminal evidence, so charges were never filed. And in Afroman's music video, through the cameras, he was able to notice that some of the deputies may have seized some of his money. He was talking about some missing money that took place during all of this, and whoa, can you believe it? After a subsequent review by the State Bureau of Criminal Investigations, they determined that the deputies had miscounted the amount seized during the raid itself. What a silly little error that was. What a goofy little freak accident that was, that some of the money was just a little miscounted, and some of it went missing, I guess? Oh, that's odd. So that's really this whole situation. They're suing because they looked fucking stupid here, and a lot of people were making fun of them for this whole situation. Afroman put them on blast and made an entire album's worth of content around it, and now they're out for revenge. So I can't show you the music video, but I highly encourage you watch it. I would like to show you a couple frames from it and just kind of talk about it because it is so fucking wild. I'll go ahead and crop their faces out so they can't feel offended or humiliated here. But, so this is one of the early shots. The officers were going around checking every nook and cranny of his property, I guess for kidnapping victims or like pounds upon pounds of weed. And for some reason, Officer Action over here, fucking Danger Commander, comes over and like looks behind the couch here as if he was gonna find like some kind of like goblin or something back there that he was gonna light up. Like, I understand they thought that there was some kidnapping element to this whole thing, but I mean, even in this situation, if there was a kid back there and you climb over the back of the couch, you're immediately pointing a gun in their face. I can't imagine that's the best way of looking for kidnapping victims. Like, the way they go through his whole property is very cartoonish. Here's a little shot of some of the team out here for the class field trip. One of them is dressed like he's ready for actual combat, as if he was gonna get in here like a G.I. Joe episode and fucking hunt down Cobra Commander in this property. So the first thing they did when they arrived is they busted through this gate here and broke it. So Afroman's already down one gate just from them showing up. And then they go to his door, and this is where you get the title of the song. They blast this shit in. This shit just gets rocketed off the frame here. So, you know, he's asking, you know, can you repair my door and my gate? Like, that's the whole point of the song. Like, can you repair this shit? And then also pointing out all of the other goofy things that happened. And here's where Afroman started to get a little suspicious about them potentially taking money from him, so he starts talking about it in this scene right here. This was already after going through and throwing around half of his belongings and like going through each and every suit pocket they could find. And here's the final shot. This is where the fun comes to an end. They disconnect his cameras, so they open up this panel in the wall and they disconnect all the shit, so he could no longer record the rest of what was going on the property. I just really had to talk about it because it got me fuming. To turn around and sue someone for hurt feelings after you were just in the wrong to begin with is just such a level of delusion that I can't help but be upset about. Afro Man did nothing wrong. He recorded you guys and then took a bad situation that you have created. The claims you were there investigating, nothing was ever found, so it all seems like bullshit. And he took that and he made comedy out of it. He made content out of it to try and turn something shitty into something less shitty. And now he's being punished for it, or at least attempting to, from these extremely sensitive, I guess, officers that are super offended that people have been making fun of them for this. Like, it's pretty disgusting. So yeah, I just wanted to at least put this out there because it was something that I felt very strongly about. That's really about it. So yeah. I very rarely watch government hearings. The only time I ever tune in is when something big happened and I'm trying to get the latest scoop on what the important information is and new developments. And every time without fail, I get nothing. Less than nothing. It's just perpetually dancing around questions without giving any real information whatsoever, and leaves me scratching my head wondering what was even the point of doing this in the first place. Whenever one of these hearings is going on, usually the person that's getting grilled doesn't actually respond most of the time. It's like talking to a stuffed animal when you're a kid expecting a response, but you get nothing. That's how these go most of the time. And the best example was the most recent one with the Secret Service director. After the assassination attempt on Trump, the Secret Service director's been catching a lot of heat and was brought in front of big government to get fed that government cheese. And they were laying into her, asking a lot of questions about the Secret Service. And she just sat there like a fucking statue, giving non-answers. Like, I can't even put the word answer in the same sentence as what her tactic was. It was a complete waste of time. Now, since that hearing, the Secret Service director has resigned. That is a new development. That's a big breaking story there, which absolutely seems for the best, all things considered, especially after this hearing, where they just truly seem inept and can't even answer the most basic questions. Like, they would lose points on their SAT for not writing their name because they just refused to. Like, if one of the government officials had asked the Secret Service director how many fingers they were holding up, she would have probably refused to answer. Like, getting led by someone like that doesn't seem to be optimal. But I just need to show you how bad this hearing was, and I didn't watch the whole thing. Maybe there were some parts that were better than others, but holy shit, like, the most direct questions could not elicit a direct answer or even a semblance of an almost answer. It was infuriating. The Forbes video basically covers it. Is this an actual good breakdown?
That's Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Mr. Jordan from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, were you guessing or lying? The day after President Trump is shot, city assets for Mr. Trump's detail. So which is it? Because both statements can't be true. Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
Neither, sir, and I appreciate the question.
Well, what
Wait, what?
Those statements don't...
As far as requests...
Well, maybe they got tired of asking. Maybe you turned them down.
This guy has a voice of like every background character in a Ubisoft open world game. I don't know who this is, but every time he speaks, all I hear is like an NPC like, "Hey, watch where you're going." He literally sounds like that fucking stock voice actor that does those.
And you turned them down. What did they ask for and how many times did you turn them down? Pretty basic questions.
So again, without having all of the details in front of me, sir, what I can tell you is that there are times...
You didn't get briefed.
This is going fucking nowhere. This is going like legitimately nowhere. All of these fucking conferences and hearings seem to be absolutely worthless. Like legitimately worthless.
Very specific questions. I want very specific answers. Most of my questions are going to demand a yes or no answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay.
That wasn't a yes.
Question.
Should have said
Both
yes.
sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter? Yes or no?
No, thank you.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes.
Colossal.
Or no? Was it
Colossal?
A colossal failure is the question.
How big?
Yes or no?
I have admitted this is a
This is a yes or no series of questions. Was it
approximately how big of a failure?
Yes or no?
Metric system, please.
Yes.
Was this tragedy preventable? Yes or no?
Yes.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Yes.
Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent? Yes or no?
I have always been
Yes
eager to
or no?
come
You didn't
and
want to
talk
answer
to
the question.
committee.
We had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today. That is not transparent, by the way. You stated earlier Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several
The
hours?
fuck is Punchbowl News? Is that like her daughter's scholastic news reporting section? What the fuck is that? Wait, you're telling me the Secret Service director broke the story to Punchbowl News? Is that real? Pop Crave. Pop Crave has the breaking. Secret Service only communicates directly with Pop Crave and Dexerto. Nothing else. God damn it.
Hours before you sent it to this committee as being political. Yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. So, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, hey, pardon my
I would like
French.
to ask unanimous
Bullshit.
consent to enter into the record articles by Punchbowl News, Political Playbook, Washington Post. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a complete list of all law enforcement personnel that were there that day? Have you done that? Have you provided a list to the Oversight Committee? Yes or
I
no?
will have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th? Yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Hey, please.
Come on.
Please, come on. Naughty language in the house of God. Are you out of your mind? Get her out of here. Get her out of here. This lack of professionalism is more insulting than the Secret Service's failure. Unbelievable. Oh my God. Why I never.
We have to maintain decorum in this committee, no matter how
have you provided
upset we
any
get.
and all memos to this committee that we've asked you on July 15th? Have you provided all memorandums within the Secret Service?
I would have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. You are being dishonest or lying. Like you're being dishonest here with this committee. These are important questions that the American people want answers to, and you're just dodging.
When the speakers said that they need to maintain decorum no matter how upset they get, his voice was actually shaking. I think he was on the verge of tears. I'm not entirely sure, but when I rewatched this segment, I was like, wow, that guy really doesn't like potty mouth. Like, the language of sailors, he was really not standing by. Here, they're talking to someone that has had a massive failure in what their job is supposed to be with this assassination attempt. And, like, he gets very concerned over her saying, shit. So I found that to be really weird. I understand professionalism is important. I get it. But, like, come on. We're all adults here. I think our ears can hear some of these words without needing to be, like, reprimanded like we're in school or something. I just felt like that was kind of comical and very kind of childish as well for him to be like that and call her out for the language. And speaking of call outs, right now the Secret Service director is getting her ham steamed. Like, she is getting baked. So all of her dodging, which she's getting rightfully called out for, doesn't even really serve a purpose, because anyone who hears that knows that that's an admission of guilt. By refusing to be open about the questions and instead saying things like, I'll have to get back with you, or I'll need to check on that, that's very clearly a no. You are not cooperating. You are not doing these things that are being talked about right now, and you don't want to just say that, so instead you look even slimier by refusing to own up to it and instead, beat around the bush. It's just so weird, because the dodging doesn't even serve a purpose other than just making this even more frustrating than it needs to be.
Have you provided us all communications from the Secret Service related to that day and that rally? Have you provided this committee? We've asked for this information on July 15th. Have you provided any of this information that this committee has asked of the Secret
Well, I'm gonna have to
Service?
check.
Any of it?
I'll have to get back to you.
Have you
Yeah, no, I have to check. We put the intern on that the day you said it. We just have to make sure that they're not doing whippets right now and on task. And I'm sure they are. Yeah, no, I just have to get back to you on it. That's all. It's a yes. Yes, I did. It's on its way. Did you check the mailbox?
We haven't gotten a single document or piece of information or data from you or your agency in related to the rally that we have asked you for. So, is this
a joke to you?
Assassination of Donald Trump a failure of training or execution or both?
That's not yes or no.
I think that those are answers that we need to
Training,
examine.
execution, or both? Which one?
I think those are answers.
All right, how many Secret Service personnel have lost their jobs due to this colossal failure?
At this time, none.
Personnel have been required to take a refresher course on how not to let people shoot Donald Trump.
Our personnel are currently...
That was an interesting question. It's so snarky. Oh my goodness. That's so very snarky.
We are examining the facts of this investigation, and we will make the changes necessary.
What time did law enforcement become aware that there was an individual on the roof with a clear line of sight to President Trump?
There was a shooter?
I am still verifying timelines.
I'll have to get back to
Of
you.
course.
That's news to
9
me.
days in, you have no answers. How many minutes went by between the time law enforcement saw and took photos of crooks and the shooting? How many minutes?
I am still verifying timelines.
57 minutes.
No, that can't
Thank
be
you,
right.
Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back.
I'll have to get
Before I
back to you.
recognize Ms.
Those
Stansbury,
minutes have to be completely calculated incorrectly. It's ridiculous. Wow, that was enlightening. Thank you, Secret Service Director. These truly feel fucking worthless. Like the people that go in there, the Secret Service Director, goofball during the first hearing, they literally go up there and they just say nothing. It's just like, well, maybe. I'm gonna have to check with my superior. I don't know. My dad called and I missed the call. Maybe he was gonna tell me, but I don't know right now. It's just so fucking worthless. Why do you think they'll say nothing? Well, the reason's obvious, but still, it's like completely useless. It's unbelievable how inept the government is when it comes to how it runs. Everything is abominably slow and beyond disorganized. Like all the fucking problems we had with U.S. immigration. Lawsuits. I'll be honest with the lawsuit, it's not going that well anymore because the government is so fucking slimy. What should have been a slam dunk case against U.S. immigration is turning into a giant fucking headache. But it's so ridiculous. It's unbelievable how inept it is. Like, I know everyone likes to attribute all of the shortcomings and failures to conspiracy, but the truth of the matter is, the people there are just dumb. Like, they're actually fucking stupid. Like, legitimately stupid. Everyone is stupid except me. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Brother, I'm dumb too. If I worked in government, I'd probably also be fucking terrible at my job as well. I'm just saying, everyone likes to attribute to conspiracy what's easily explained through incompetence. I've been seeing it firsthand with U.S. immigration. I promise you, a lot of the things you think are conspiratorial are actually just like fucking glue-huffing losers in there that cannot do what they are supposed to do. Secondhand embarrassment is a very real phenomenon. It occurs when you witness something that is so grossly turbo-cringe that your body has a fight-or-flight response and fills you with shame from just having watched it, even though you weren't directly involved in the situation. I think the number one cause of secondhand embarrassment is bad stand-up comedy. So, like, what's the deal with airline food? Salt shakers, you fill them up, and then where does it all go? Like, when a stand-up set bombs, I feel like most people get embarrassed for the person up there. But today, I got so much secondhand embarrassment, I feel like I got a year's worth of shame in one afternoon, thanks to the TikTok congressional hearing that happened. This was an absolute mockery of the entire country. It was absolutely foul. It was painful to watch. So I'd like to show you just a few of the clips. The whole thing was about 5.5 hours long, and I can't imagine anyone can make it to the end without puking. It's brutal. It has everything you're probably imagining, tech illiteracy and horrible questions out the wazoo, all wrapped up into one 5-hour endurance test of the human patience. In a nutshell, there's been a lot of controversy about TikTok and TikTok bans, like banning on government phones, which I do agree with. I don't think there's any argument to be made that a fucking government or someone in power person should have TikTok on their phone just because of potential security risks associated with it. And this has expanded into a lot of other big debates around it. I am not a personal fan of the platform in general. I don't really use it that often. Plus, I think it's been extremely detrimental to the actual mental health and attention span of human beings. Because now, I don't know if you go on TikTok often, If you go on TikTok and it's someone just talking about something or a clip of something, there is always Subway Surfers, Rocket League, or GTA playing underneath it in order to keep your attention, because people need such constant stimulation and jingling keys. If there's not like 3 separate videos of like bars of soap getting cut for satisfying videos, or Rocket League freestyling, while the core video itself is playing, they click off. That shit is just so pathetic. It's actual brain rot behavior. I am very curious to see in 10 years if that's going to be the commonplace for everything in the world. Like if movies now are going to be like playing a movie, but then also underneath it another separate movie, making sure that your attention is captured. Like, it's so baffling just how far the attention span of humans is degrading, where they can't watch a fucking 30-second video without 3 other videos also playing to keep their attention. But with all of that being said, I still don't want to see it nationally banned or any shit like that. And the reason's very simple. Because I like a world where people have the freedom to choose what they do with their whole life, pretty much. So if you want to download TikTok, you should. Even in spite of potential security risks to your privacy or whatever, that should entirely be on the individual's choice. Does the entertainment the platform offer outweigh the potential security risks to your data being sold or whatever? That's up to the person to decide. That's my ideal scenario where people have the freedom to make their own fucking choices there when it comes to some shit like this. I've made it clear I'm no fan of TikTok. I am also very confident that there is a huge level of like spyware with TikTok associated with it, more than the CEO lets on. But holy shit, this congressional hearing or whatever has done nothing but make the CEO of TikTok look like a patient saint. Like an actual Zen master to deal with the unhinged lunacy and out-of-touch questions those fucking fossils were throwing his way. It blew my mind. It blew my fucking mind. Her, oh my god, she's so dumb. She kept asking him questions, but instead of letting him answer, she'd just say, yes, yes, yes. And then she pulled up a random shitpost on TikTok like, you see this threat? Oh, fuck me. Yeah, so she pulled this up and she's like, look at this. Outrageous. It's not a viral post or anything, by the way.
That video was posted 41 days ago. As you can see, it is captioned me as F.
Dude who asked about TikTok using Wi-Fi? I don't remember, but I think they were trying to make a bigger point. And this is really giving a very charitable bone to the person who asked the question. I think what they were getting at with asking about Wi-Fi is he was trying to state that if one device is connected to a network, it can access everything on that network, which it can. But he couldn't ask the question because I don't think he really fully understood it. But again, I'm doing a very charitable service trying to even make some sense out of that awful question. This accomplished nothing except making their CEO look better. Full-heartedly believe there is a lot more fishy shit at play on the back end of TikTok, but they did not even get close to the bottom of it because they couldn't even wrap their head around what an app on your phone is. It's tragic.
Mr. Zhang Fuping is the editor-in-chief.
He's not.
My colleague, Representative
Just doesn't even let him say it or talk.
2 minutes ago exposed that TikTok and ByteDance share legal teams. You confirmed this, correct?
Our general counsel is an American lawyer, veteran of Microsoft.
Also, my colleague, Representative Latta, confirmed that your parent
fucking
company,
worthless.
ByteDance, currently can access user data. Yes?
We have to be more specific.
Yes.
After Project Texas, no.
I'm not asking after Project Texas, I'm asking now. Yes.
Some user data is public data, Congresswoman, which means everybody can search.
What's
for them.
interesting to me is that you have used the word transparency over a half a dozen times.
So, doesn't seem to understand that when you ask a question, you should wait for an answer instead of filling your own blanks here. So, her asking about the data that they're accessing, he talks about the public data, which is something every app in the world accesses, even that computer she's on right there. I bet she's logged in on Twitter. That uses all of your fucking data too. I bet she has a Facebook account. That not only accesses all of your data, it sells it too. All of these apps do that. What they needed to get to the bottom of is more in line with like what is TikTok specifically doing with that data and how it relates to like the CCP and shit like that. But instead they're so hung up on like public data. You're accessing public profiles. That's creepy. That's something one of the guys said. It's so fucking crazy. And for some reason they don't even let him answer, so they get no answers. They get nothing out of this. It is fucking worthless. It is a complete waste of time. They said they were watching children's public profiles, which was creepy. Everything's watching every public profile ever. That's the whole point of it being public. It gets scanned in these systems. That's not exclusive to TikTok. Twitter does it. Facebook does it. YouTube does it. Everything does it. Literally everything. We threw away our privacy long, long ago. TikTok is just a little more nefarious, potentially, with what it uses that data for, at least based on like reports from a year or two ago. Not meant to be informational or useful, it's meant to grandstand for campaigns. It's actually tame compared to everything else, and, well, I guess maybe. It's still so stupid, though, because this doesn't do anything to further anyone's agenda here. Everyone that asked him questions today looks like a bumbling fucking buffoon. A genuine moron. Like, I feel like all this does is shake people's confidence in their elected representatives here. They couldn't they couldn't ask a good question. Were they like this with Mark Zuckerberg? Yes! Yes, they were. It was just as bad with Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg sat in the same hot seat as this guy did, and he got bombarded with just as stupid questions. If I remember correctly, one of the Facebook questions was, do I need internet to connect to Facebook? Or something like that. We are not getting anything out of this garbage. What do you think their approach should be on this topic? Hand it off to people that understand it. Clearly, this woman doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. At all. She has no clue what's going on right there. And she clearly doesn't even want to get answers because she's too busy answering herself. So get someone who gets it, have them ask the questions, and come up with the questions to begin with. Delegate. This is clearly not her strong suit. She's not even old! That you can't just keep using the excuse of they're all fucking geriatric. She is not old. She is willfully stupid. And still tries to act like an authority on the topic. She pulled up a fucking 400 view shitpost to try and use it as a point that completely fell flat. And then doesn't even let the guy answer her questions because she's too busy answering herself. Now, while she may have come to this hootenanny unprepared and made me ashamed to be a Floridian, she did mention something that I think is important to talk about briefly, which is Project Texas. Project Texas is something TikTok did to appease the US. In a quick nutshell, Project Texas is US user data being sent to Oracle, which is on American soil, as opposed to going anywhere else. So all of the US user data will now be on American soil, and Oracle kind of oversees the whole thing.
On a device in one pocket, but downloaded on your device in the other doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I believe Congress and DoD should address the continued use of TikTok on military installations as well as any use that depicts U.S. military operations. Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Only if the user turns on the Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, I may not understand the...
So if I have a TikTok app...
Again, this is being very charitable. I think the point he was trying to make is... when it accesses the Wi-Fi, it has access to all of your devices that are within that network, which every device that accesses your Wi-Fi does. That is factual. That is true. Which is actually something that happened to Kaya. He downloaded a burglar broke in and downloaded a torrent, and it came with a virus, which infected multiple devices that were on his network. It is known that when you are on a Wi-Fi network, it connects to more than just the single thing that's connected to it. It's everything there. So I think his point was, can it access my other devices? Which is why he's talking about, like, downloading on a device next to me. Shit like that. But the way he asked that question is so bafflingly stupid that even the TikTok CEO is like, fucking obviously, it's going to access your Wi-Fi if you turn it on. Right? Like, it's just craziness. So have someone who understands what the fuck they're talking about be the one to ask these questions. I think you gave him too much credit. He probably thinks Wi-Fi is a radio. Again, it's a very charitable interpretation of what I think he could have been trying to say. I could be way off and giving way too much credit there. I don't know. For the sake of clarity, I actually think that guy's follow-up question kind of hints more at what I was saying. Even though it's still poorly asked and his follow-up question is still poorly phrased, I do think with a high level of confidence the thing he was trying to get at is TikTok going to be accessing all kinds of things on my network outside of just the one device that I'm using right now to connect to it? I think is what he really wanted to get at, but he didn't know how to get to that topic effectively. So he ended up making a very silly question out of the whole thing, which really sums up the entire hearing. Just silly questions that didn't do anything at all. They didn't get any answers. They didn't get to the bottom of any real questions people have. It was just a genuine fucking circus. Just an absolute clown show. That's really about it. See ya.